All right, what's up, guys? We are back with another podcast episode. This week, we're going to be recapping an open division tournament that we just played in locally, as well as some thoughts on James Ignatowich had put out a podcast about you should just use a power paddle, is what people were saying, at least. I had kind of heard about this, but I hadn't actually listened to it. So someone in the comments was like, you should talk about this. I was like, oh, it's actually a really good idea. So thanks for the suggestion, because I think there's more nuance to go over than what I think people kind of interpreted it a little wrong.
There's a few extra details that I think are very important to that statement.
Yeah. And then in the kitchen, we'll have some fun stuff to talk about. So, yeah.
Let's get into it.
All right. So let's start with this tournament. Yep. So there was a cash tournament here in Minnesota at one of our local facilities, Mega Pickle and Pong.
Mm-hmm.
So we both signed up, both did open. I played with a friend, David Dutrell, and then Etta, who some of you, if you watched the U.S. Open where I got gold, that was my partner there.
Yep.
And then you played men's.
Yep, I played men's. Shout out to my men's partner, Brandon Schenk. He also is a YouTuber. He just started recently. His channel is Gear Up Pickleball.
Oh, no. We don't talk about. He's gonna hear this episode. I already told him no shout outs after. We won't even spoil it yet. We'll get to why he doesn't get that shout out later, but on a serious note, he actually does make really good content.
He's just starting. He's actually doing really well. So shout out to him. Great, phenomenal men's partner. He's the lefty. Really, really nice. Very good. So we did very well in this tournament, but I'll let you start off.
Yeah. So, all right. This is the first time I've ever played an open division tournament, which, I mean, I guess sometimes. So what's interesting about like an open division tournament a lot of times is, so instead of just like 5-0, where you have a bunch of 5-0s, and then like a pro division or something, it's like, okay, you have your 5-0s and then you have like your pros. Like going into this, we pretty much knew who first and second were going to be.
Yeah,
like,
we kind of knew.
That was just going to be a guarantee because it was some of our pros. We had Anik Lohani and Mo Alhouni. So it's just like some of those.
Two fairly well-established PPA pros.
Yeah. Yep. So it's just, you kind of knew how that was going to go. So it's interesting going into a tournament like that because you're like, okay, at least from my perspective, I'm like, I'm not winning this. I'm just here for a good time at that point.
Yeah.
And it didn't want to do 4-5. So there wasn't a 5-0. It was 4-5 and then open. Yep. Like, well, it doesn't really make sense to do 4-5. I didn't feel like. So did open and honestly went in, thought I was going to get slaughtered. I was like, this is going to be an absolute bloodbath.
Yeah.
And it was not that bad. We ended up going 2-2. Our first match went to 3 games. And so we knew pretty much everyone in this tournament. There was maybe one team where I didn't really know them that well.
I think I knew everyone.
Yeah. So you kind of know how people are going to play. I knew I was going to get picked on because everyone knows me or whatever. So first game went to 3. That was a really good match. That was a lot of fun. And then I should have grabbed so I could specifically remember all the matches, but we ended up winning our first back draw, our second back draw, and then we lost the third back draw match. And I felt pretty good in all of them. Yeah, we'll get to that third back draw match. Yeah, we'll get there. I see you smirking. But honestly, all the matches, I felt really good.
Yeah.
I think I could have played definitely a little bit better in some of them. And after watching some of the film, I'm like, okay, there's some definitely obvious things I need to work on. I was like, it's really interesting. People were like, dude, your thirds were really good. And when I watched the film back, I'm like, they were either really good or just really not good.
Really bad.
Not like lobs or something, but it was enough to where you had to hit like a 5th, a 7th, or 5th.
Easily
like
attacked.
Yeah, easily attacked, so it took longer to get in. But when the drops were on, it was like, oh, okay, we're just in.
I will say, especially watching you because I didn't play mixed, I got to come and just watch, and our other brother was there. I was telling him, I was like, dude, I've never seen Christopher's drops this consistent. I was like, your defense recently has been unreal.
Dude, I don't know what it is. I literally feel like it was when we started training, like the day that we trained with David, Jamie, and you.
Yep.
Like something got into, and I think what it is I haven't gotten to play what I feel like is really serious pickleball in a minute. Like, yeah, we go to league and it's like more serious. But again, like I've told you this, even in league, I feel bad because I'm like, oh, these people are like paying money. So if you're targeting one guy on the other side, it's like, okay, well, this other guy paid money to be here and he's not getting to play. So I always end up like moving the ball around. So,
but you can say the same thing for a tournament.
Yes, but I just know that everyone goes in there going, someone's getting picked on and whereas League, it just feels like it's serious, but also meant to be fun.
Yeah.
So anyways, it's been a minute since I feel like I played a game where I just knew I could play exactly how I wanted to play.
Right.
So played really well there. And then some of that defense translated. There were some points that I was like, what on earth is this? So I will eventually post some of those probably.
Yeah, because you recorded all of your games, right?
Yeah, pretty much all of them.
Nice.
Yeah, if not all of them. So anyways, yeah, it was a lot of fun. Felt good in most of the matches. It was fun to play with David. That's the first time we've ever played together. And I played with the J2K, which we'll get to, I guess, after this. But I definitely have some thoughts on that paddle because that's the next review coming up.
Yeah.
But then our last backdraw match.
Yes. Ran into me. So
draw you.
My tournament experience went into it. Round one was we're playing against a fairly well established team that had been known to be good players. So I knew figured it was going to be a fairly tough match to start. And me and my partner kind of walked through them. We had a game plan going into it. My partner is a lefty. He's tall, lanky, fast, got really good hands. So I've got a good drive. So the game plan was if I get the third, I'm ripping it. He's getting in there and he's covering the whole court and he's just going to finish the point. Yeah. And we did that the whole day. And we walked through our first match 11-3, 11-4.
Jeez.
Really fast. That one felt really good. And then our second draw was Anik Lahani and Mo Alhouni. So,
so good
we kind of knew how that one was going to go. It was on stream. Really fun match. You know, obviously, I am not a signed PPA pro. I do not play on the Pro Tour consistently. I'm attempting to work my way through qualifiers at the moment, but I'm not at that level yet. And honestly, I was expecting to just get absolutely slaughtered. Yeah. And we did get beat down pretty good in the first game, but I was actually fairly happy with how we did. We lost 4-6.
Sure.
So not bad. Getting 6 points on them was good. We stayed in there in a few hands battles and some good points. So I definitely see potential. Me and Brandon will probably play again together because we mesh really well. And so that was good. But we lost, went to the back draw, and then we ran into you guys.
Were we your first back draw match?
Trying to think did we play anyone else? Might have been our first back draw match.
Oh, okay.
I think so. Yeah.
I knew exactly how that game was going to go. I literally looked at David and I said, David, we both know how this match is going to go. This is going to be bang ball.
Yep.
I was like, you're just going to have to pray that I'm on for this match because I was like, I know exactly what it's going to look like. And it was exactly what I thought it was going to be.
Literally exactly what Jamie and I did when we were practicing that one day was the exact strategy that...
No, it was worse at the tournament.
Worse at the tournament.
Worse for me.
Yeah. And I mean, I told David, I warned you guys, it's like, David, I'm sorry, but you're not going to get to play much pickleball at this tournament. We're definitely going to be testing Christopher. And we definitely did that. But to be fair, so it was 1-15.
Yeah.
You guys actually did... Okay. You're getting slaughtered at the beginning.
It was awful.
I mean, it was like
12-1.
I think it wasn't that quite that bad. I think it was like 8-1 or 9-1.
It was really bad.
And then you guys got 2 and started to come back a little bit. I think
it was literally on my serve. I think you guys missed like 4 returns.
We did miss some returns. Yeah, missed return long. Brandon missed one in the net. Just some simple things we should not have missed. But you guys made a comeback. We took a timeout. You got to 7. And then Brandon and I just walked through it and finished the point out. We just, like I said, we had a game plan. We knew what we needed to do. And, we executed really well. But after that, we went to another back draw. That one was really, really close. We won it 16-14.
Yeah.
Super tight match, really intense. And then after that, we went to the third place match. If we win this, we go to the finals. If we lose, we get third. And we played another one of our pro teams here in Minnesota. And unfortunately, very similar to our other match against Mo and Anik, we lost 4-7. So a little bit better, but basically the same story. Me and Brandon took third. Not mad about it. We actually did pretty well. So overall, good tournament experience for me. I was happy with it.
Yeah, that was fun. Remind me to come back. Well, we'll talk about mixed quick, and then I'll try and remember to come back to this.
Yes. And real quick before I forget, you played, I think you already said, you played with the J2K at this tournament, and you locked away and banned the Ripple from me, so I used the Shogun, my other favorite paddle. So,
that's because I knew if you played with a Ripple, people were going to complain about it not being out. They were going to be like, is this thing legal? I thought this thing was banned, blah, blah. I was like, I just know how this is going to go, and I was like, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
So I was like, we're not gonna pull that paddle out yet.
So I played with my other favorite paddle, the Shogun, and it worked out great.
We do have to start hitting that some more.
Yes.
Again, we have to start hitting our other ones and see what happened. I know everyone wants updates.
Everyone's looking for information.
I mean,
on
it's probably the most talked about paddle right now, which is like
for sure.
Paddle releases are weird these days. There's all these like beta releases, and then like, is it going to be the same as the release, and like prototypes and all these different things like getting in the public hand. It's just kind of a weird
way of going through it.
Yeah, it's weird.
Really
I
weird.
like don't really love it because it's like, okay, well, if some of these paddles, this isn't specifically to Ronbus. There are other companies that do similar things. So it's not to single them out, but it's just, I find it weird to like do a beta release where something might change. And then it's like, okay, well, if internally something changes quite a bit, the governing bodies aren't going to have any clue. And it's not even really that I care, like, oh, the paddle's probably going to perform so different, but like technically on paper, that's weird and like shouldn't be a thing.
It is weird. It shouldn't happen. And then also, like, we don't want to make a video on something and spend a lot of time and giving you guys information on something that might not be true in the future.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, we don't want to take the time to do that. We want to wait until the final product is ready. Yeah. What you guys are going to end up buying is what we want to put information out on. So like,
Correct.
And there's all this beta testing and stuff. It just doesn't quite make sense for us to release a lot of information because we don't want to spread misinformation on this paddle. So we're waiting till it actually is released. So hopefully soon.
Yep. So we'll be working on that. So anyways, mixed day. Played with Etta. I love playing with Etta. She's great.
Awesome partner.
Yeah, she's a really good partner. Super positive. So first match, Drew, one of our, again, local pros, Sammy Lee.
Sammy Lee.
I believe he was playing with his girlfriend, though.
Yes.
And I don't know what her actual level is, but I don't know if he just didn't have a mixed partner or if they just wanted to play together for fun or whatever, but like it was definitely a skill mismatch. So like beating Sammy doesn't really feel like beating Sammy. It feels like, hey, Sammy, it's kind of like what you guys did to me. It's like, hey, you're not going to get to play pickleball today.
Yep.
So it felt nice to win that. We won that in 3. I was definitely expecting to lose to Sammy because Sammy's really good.
Sammy's phenomenal.
So that was fun. And then second match ended up playing Onik and his mixed partner, which I think it might have been similar to you. It was like 4 and 7, maybe, or something like that.
And he was a sub
4.
in. Onik wasn't even supposed to be playing mixed that day.
Yeah.
Someone else was going to be playing with that mixed player, and he had a neck injury, so Onik subbed in for him, and just unlucky.
Yeah, unlucky
draw
me.
for you.
Unlucky me. I could have had a easier time than Onik, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But honestly, those matches were really fun because it was like, okay, I know I'm going to lose this, but I was like, I did feel like I played better than normal. So it's like, okay, this is kind of fun to figure out. And what I was going to say about men's, because we kind of did this in mixed too, an interesting thing to figure out in pickleball is I feel like everyone wants to play purely to their strength. Like, oh, I'm a strong left side player, let me play the left. Or like, I have a big forehand, like I'm going to play the left, whatever it is. And I do think you should do that, but I think there's also something to be said for playing to whatever your partner is more comfortable with or having a better time with on that day. So when we played men's, going into that tournament, David and I assumed we're going to put David on the left. He's way more aggressive than me. He's like stronger than I am. Like he's probably faster than I am. Like he's just a better player than I am. So it's like, okay, well, this just makes sense. Put me on the right. But most of the day, we actually put me on the left because we knew I was going to get picked on, and I've been earning a lot, and it's easier for me on the left. So it's like, okay, if you're going to just dink up the line, I will earny.
Well, and if you going into it, you know you're going to get picked on, and you're the one who's going to be hitting the majority of the balls that day, why put you in a worse position than putting you to your strengths where you're going to hit most of those balls. So you want to do what you're most comfortable with. And if your partner is able to squeeze in and win you some points, that's better off than you playing into your weaknesses.
Exactly. Because I'm definitely better at backhand dinking than I am forehand. Forehand's gotten a lot better, but I feel like I can kind of go all day on my backhand, or I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, with the earning, if they go up the line, I can earning easier on this side. My backhand dink is better. If he wants, he can like pinch middle with his backhand and do something. It just made more sense. So we ended up doing that a lot, which felt weird, but it actually worked pretty well. And then actually a similar thing in mixed, I feel like this is just unconventional. Like usually the guy is always on the left, but Etta was having a harder time with her forehand dink when we played Onik. And I was like, okay, let's actually just put me on the right side because I feel pretty comfortable with my forehand dink right now. So it's like, I think we'll have a better chance if you are right in front of the girl because Edda's tall and she has a really good like poke out of the air.
Probably most of you guys have never played against Edda, but for anyone who has, dinking up the line straight to Edda is the worst choice you could make.
Yeah.
I mean, she's so tall and so lanky, and she just has such good reach, and she comes from high-level badminton, and her flicks are so fast.
Yeah.
She can just flick anything out of the air, so going straight ahead with her, terrible idea.
Her overhead is a lot better than mine. Like, she has so much power on it, so it's like, okay, well, if a ball does like go through the middle, like, you hitting an overhead makes more sense. So, while it's very weird to play mixed that way, we ended up doing that pretty much for the rest of the match, for the most part, with Onik. And it was like, this just feels better. I think we have a higher chance. Even if we were going to lose, I think we have a higher chance doing it this way. You guys
actually were putting yourself in better opportunities to win points with that formation.
Yeah.
You just weren't executing enough to make it work.
Sure.
You were in better position that way than you on the left.
Yeah, totally. So as just an interesting thing for people to think about is like, what is your partner good at? And can you, like, my forehand dink might not be my favorite thing, but in that moment, I felt better than Edda was feeling about it. And I knew she would feel good on that side. So I was like, okay, let's try this out. So just something to think about if you're in a tournament, like, you might have a plan of like, oh, we're going to stack this way, but it might not end up working that way. And also just think about what is your partner's strengths and weaknesses and how do you maximize both of those?
Yeah, definitely. Just because something traditionally is how something's done doesn't mean that's always the best way to do it. I mean, look at Gabe Tardillo and Jesse. Gabe was playing the right for a little bit. Like, he's totally fine playing the right. Zane and Mari Humberg.
Yep.
Zane likes to play the right with her. So just playing, if your partner is great on the left, there's no issues with putting your mixed partner on the left.
Yeah, so basically, if we ever play together, you're on the right, so have fun.
You are probably better than me on the right, and I'm way better than you on the left, so that's not happening.
Whatever floats your boat. But yeah, no, it was super fun playing with Edda. We beat Sammy, we lost to Onik in 2, and then our backdraw match, we played some people. Actually, we had practiced with them 2 days before the tournament.
Yeah.
And all those matches were pretty close. There was a lot of like 2-point games, maybe a couple that were like 3 off. So it was just good matches overall. Dude, we just got slaughtered. We got pickled. I was like, and that was a 0-15. It was just one of those matches where they executed absolutely perfectly, and we just could not. I think the other matches were so draining playing Sammy and Onik that I just had nothing left.
You did look very physically taxed and drained, and also just mentally, you just looked like you were toast.
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't, in that match, I literally didn't know what to do. I was like, I have no ideas of how to fix this match.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It was still super fun. Edda's always fun to play with. And like, I appreciate having a partner that, like, it's fine to get upset. But it's like when the upset is directed at the partner, it just feels bad. So like, I made I would never do that to someone, and I would hope they wouldn't do that to me. And I was just very good about that. Like, we both missed some balls that were just like, how do you miss that ball? But it's like neither of us were like, hey, dummy. Like, have you ever thought about not missing that?
Calling a Riley Newman.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. People have off days. Both of you just looked like you were slightly off, you know, when you're getting to the kitchen. Like, defense-wise, you guys were doing pretty well.
Yeah. So we'll probably drill some more and sort out some of these kinks.
Yeah, definitely. But overall, the tournament was a lot of fun. It was good. It ran smooth, well. Like, they didn't have any issues. It wasn't a huge tournament, but enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, definitely enjoyed it. And I feel like I have a good amount of things like I walked away from like, okay, I got to fix this. Like, I mean, I knew like when people drive me, I still need to be better at like blocking it down. Just things that I kind of knew, but watching it again, I was like, yeah, I got to go.
I mean, I think we both kind of walked out of it the same. Like my matches against Onik and Mo and, the other team were just very, like I realized there are things I need to work on. Like I can walk through the other teams pretty well, but clearly against established PPA pros, I got some things to work on. We're getting there though. We're getting there.
Totally. All right. So quick, I'll just go over some thoughts on the J2K. There will be a review on this probably soonish. But it's a great paddle. I mean, I already knew this. I've been saying this for a while when I first got to try it, maybe back in June was maybe the first time I tried it. Like people have talked about this for a while. It's not a new thing. Honestly, this is probably the latest review I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
Dude, that paddle is just so good though. I did not think I was going to prefer to like main it for like a tournament because the handle's a little shorter, so it's like 2-hand stuff's maybe a little annoying, but I just got over it. Like I just don't really care anymore. The stability is really nice. The pop and power are plenty good enough. Like I don't feel like I'm...
The J2K is what I like to say. It's the prime case of there is nothing flashy and exciting about this paddle.
Yeah.
But it's just good.
Yeah.
Like it's solid at what it needs to do and it's just all around a good paddle.
It doesn't have like any... Performance-wise, I don't feel like there's any major weakness to it that you're like, well, like if it had this thing, it's more preference-based, like shape or handle length or weight or swing weight, whatever. Like, but no, I mean, that paddle is really good.
I will say it's some of the best pickleball I've seen you play in a while. Like your resets, your drops, or just your defense was great. Like actually coming into the kitchen, your volley resets were very nice.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I noticed that too.
Like there was a few points where I was watching where they just speed up like 6-7 times and you just cut, and just perfect right in the kitchen. Like just enough where they can't attack it out of the air. So you were playing very well with that paddle.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty pumped about it. The price obviously of it is very good. It's super reasonably priced. So yeah, that paddle's going to get a great review because it's just really good. I see why people liked it.
Core crush yours yet? I don't know if I've heard of anyone core crushing one yet. I'm sure someone has.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's happened. And I'll keep people updated on it, but
it hasn't been widespread.
So good. Yeah. So yeah. Anyways, it's a great paddle. A lot of you probably already know that. Like I said, I'm super late to this, but just thought I'd throw in my 2 cents ahead of the review there.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll breeze through this kind of quick because our tournament talk took a little longer than I thought.
A little bit while. Now, PPA updates.
Yeah, so first thing I want to go over is Rachel Rohrabacher and Anna Bright versus Elise and Tyra. I had just happened to turn on the TV
to
watch some pickleball.
Nuts. Also, spoilers, just heads up.
Yeah, thank you, because I was going to forget.
There will be some spoilers here, so skip ahead.
Now is the time to turn it off or skip ahead.
Yep.
If you don't want the spoiler.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank you. But people in the comments are thanking you right now.
Yes.
Okay, anyways, so yeah, I turned this on.
And this is a semifinals.
No, this is a quarter.
Yes, that's true. That's crazy. That's right. This is a quarterfinals.
Yeah, this is probably one of the best quarterfinal matches I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So I came in the third game, like maybe middle of the game. Anyways, it's super tight back and forth. Some of the points are just insane. They end up getting to 10-10, and I don't know how many side outs they actually had, but anywhere between like 5 and 8 side outs at 10-10. Eventually, Anna Bright and Rachel go up 10-11, and they still had a bunch of side outs at 10-11 going back and forth.
Oh, dude, it went on forever.
And you're not talking about like, people were just dumping thirds in the net and it keeps going back and forth. You're talking like points that you think someone should have won 5 balls ago and it's still going.
Overheads getting reset and defense at the baseline, angles getting got. Like, it's just... Dude, it's crazy.
It was really good. Now, the only thing, and I believe, it was at 10-11-1 when Elise and Tyra were serving. Really good point. They hit a ball that was a winner, and Anna and Rachel called it out.
Yep.
And it was, in the moment, you're like, ooh, that was really close. But they immediately had a replay. Like, they didn't have any challenges. That was the problem.
No challenges left. Can't challenge it.
Yep.
But the truck went back to view it.
And, I mean, it was up within probably 10 seconds of that point ending. Probably even quicker, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it was very obvious how in that ball was. Like,
it was more than half of the ball was inside of the baseline.
Yeah, it was super in, and like I think you even heard the crowd in the match like
gas,
kind of boo. Like I don't know if they saw it on the thing or if they just saw it live. But anyways, you hear a boo. Even Dave Fleming was like completely shocked about like what the heck just happened, and it was just such a bummer to see. And then it made me think, like if a match is that close or they get the call that fast and it's that in, should it just get overturned anyways? Because to me, like, why would you not? If you know what the right call was, why wouldn't you just
in other sports, there are referee challenges where the refs can challenge it. So it's like, and in other sports, there are replays just on like a jumbotron or a big screen for the whole stadium or crowd to see. So like maybe that video board behind them, they should just put it up right. Imagine like standing on that side of the video board and then seeing your call right in front of your face, like 4 inches in.
I guess
you'd probably want to overturn it yourself.
Well, for sure. And I guess the problem maybe why they can't do this or why it would be more of a pain is if you're out of challenges, are you just always going to be like, well, the board, you should just pop it up on the board quick and let me see. And then some calls are harder to tell than others. So if you spend like if in 5 points you challenge 4 times and each of them take like a minute and a half to figure out, like now you're just wasting a lot of time.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the reason to not do it. But I was like, oh man, that ball was so
That was brutal, especially at that
score.
pivotal moment. I mean, the whole match was like this. It was just so tight the whole way. I've never seen Elise Jones play that well.
Yeah.
I mean, that was unreal.
Tyra was playing it like it was mixed.
Tyra was playing like it was mixed. I mean, they were both playing phenomenally well. Roles were great.
Yeah.
That was one of the most entertaining matches I've watched in a while.
That's definitely one of those ones where you're watching and you're literally just like tense in your chair, like, oh my gosh, like somebody.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Something.
And there would be a bunch of points where Tyra and Elise would be pushed back to the baseline. Overheads are getting hit at them. They're just getting everything back. They'd finally hit a pretty good ball back, and Anna Bright would try to speed it up off the bounce and just smacked it right into the net. Like 4 or 5 times. She looked so pissed.
Yeah.
But, eventually in the end, they did pull it out, and
Rachel and Anna,
they did pull it out, and they won that match.
Yep. So that was crazy. Definitely super entertaining. I was, like I said, the pro matches, especially the earlier stuff, seems to just be some of the most entertaining stuff right now. Like the matches are so much better than they used to be. Like now I feel like I can actually watch these and be kind of excited while I'm watching, whereas before it was like, okay, a quarterfinal, who cares?
Mm-hmm.
Like all these matches are going to suck. Now sometimes it almost feels like Championship Sunday is less exciting because you just kind of know how that's going to go sometimes. Not every time.
Yeah.
But another interesting thing, Memes of Pickleball had posted a meme about this. Never seen this happen before.
Dude.
Ben and Colin get a point deducted for not announcing a timeout.
Yes.
They just walked off the court to take a timeout.
This was either I think it was 4th game in the finals.
Yeah.
4th or 5th game.
And the scoreline was close. I think they were up.
It was 8-7.
9-7.
It was 9-7. John's brothers were up.
Yep.
And dude, it was crazy. I mean, so they had lost the first game, won the next 2.
Yep.
They're up 9-7 to win the match. They just take a timeout, and then boom, now they lost a point, and it's now 8-7. That's huge. Yeah, that could be the reason why they didn't win.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty big time to do that. And I think it was like their second warning is what I saw in the clip, but I just don't know what the first one was for.
Ah, man, I watched it. What was it? I can't think of it off the top of my head. But yeah, and the next time they took a timeout,
they were so
they were
sarcastic with it,
staring at the ref and just
doing the T sign,
super aggressively, like in his face.
Yeah, like I'm taking a timeout. See it?
It was crazy. That was nuts. So I've never seen anyone get a point deduction and a technical warning for that.
It felt like I wonder if even players knew that could happen. Because here's the thing: every time someone walks off the court, I always feel like the ref just immediately knows that it's a timeout.
Right.
And they just immediately call the timeout. So to me, it felt obvious, but I think they got that technical because they said it was a delay of game. And I'm like, okay, if that's a delay of game, like are we going to start calling, when Ryan Sherry does his stuff, like kicking the ball around, like, are we going to call it on that too?
Yeah.
Like, that's the type of stuff that feels more problematic than what feels like an obvious timeout.
Jack Sock going to the towel, tying a shoe, kicking them. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
Maybe it's all about to change. Who knows?
Yeah, that's possible.
It just felt weird.
Rewinding just a little bit before we finish our thoughts on the finals there. Did you watch the Johns brothers versus Riley and who did Riley play with?
Rafa.
That's right, Rafa.
I didn't see that.
Did you watch that? Dude. So I believe that was the semifinals. This was wild. So Riley kept getting faulted on his serve.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Him of all people, I would not have expected.
You know why?
Why?
Because he's jumping and serving. So
his feet weren't on the ground?
Both feet were off the ground when he would serve. So he got called for that, I believe, a couple times. And then, dude, this was crazy. Second serve, they get the ball. That match went to 3 games. Riley goes to serve, and he serves before the ref calls the score.
Oh, no.
And
that's
is
bad.
just pissed. Ball goes back to the Johns brothers. He's like, whatever. Rafa gets in the ref's face, like walks over to him, gets in his face. Even Dave's like, Rafa, you better back off that ref because this is not going to be good for you. And Ben was just like, screw it. I don't want to deal with this. I'm giving you the ball back. Serve the ball. Like, I don't care.
Whoa.
And just like replay the point. I don't care.
Yeah.
And they still ended up winning that point. But I was
Holy
like,
moly.
I've never seen that happen before.
I wish I had seen that.
Dude, it was crazy.
I can't believe that didn't make it onto Memes of Pickleball.
I'm actually very surprised that didn't as well, or at least get posted anywhere because I didn't see it anywhere.
Memes of Pickleball slipping.
Dude, I know, right? What the heck?
I know they hear this podcast sometimes. Memes of Pickleball, get your crap together. That's something that should have been on there. Yeah. You guys you're on top of this. This is the first time I've ever seen you slip.
Look, don't get lazy out there, guys.
Yeah, come on.
But that I thought was really interesting. One, I've just never seen someone get faulted for not being on the ground. I've seen people do it before. I remember actually I was watching a Next Gen like last year. I was at one, and I think his name was Carl. Dude, hitting just nuclear serves, but he's jumping like half a foot off the ground and hitting the ball, and I was shocked he wasn't getting faulted for it.
Sure.
And yeah, it's not something you see very often.
Yeah.
So very interesting.
Fascinating. Also, really quick, just in case people were curious, my court is not done yet. So there was a couple delays because my contractor got sick, so that kind of pushed things back. So I don't know if my mics are going to pick it up, but right now I think they're using a compactor right now, and it is a very, very, very low bass rumble that might shake my mic a little bit here. Yeah. I can't tell.
We can kind of just hear it up above. So if you hear something in the background that's annoying, it is because the construction for the court is going on right now.
Yes.
And
the concrete is supposed to be poured tomorrow. So
nice.
Next week.
Next pod, we should have a concrete slab that we can go hit on. Yes. Not painted, but we can just go hit on it.
Yeah, we go hit on it. So anyways, if you hear that, sorry about that. Not much I can do. All right.
But yeah, sorry, to finish our point real quick, men's finals went to 5 games. It was crazy. I don't remember the final scoreline of the last game, but I just remember Fed and Hayden were up like 7-0.
Oh, wow.
And took it in 5. They won. They're an undefeated team. They've won twice now together. So congrats to them. Very impressive. That was the men's finals.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Last thing real quick before we get to the primary topic, Brooke Buckner and Anna Lee. That was a really good final. I just happened to turn that one on. First game, Brooke wins 11-9. Second game, Anna Lee wins 11-9. And then the last game, Anna Lee was up like a lot. I don't remember exactly how much, but it was looking like a beatdown. Yeah. And then Brooke ended up clawing her way back. I think Anna Lee had several match points and clawed her way all the way back to 6, it looks like. So decent scoreline in the last one, but it was, I mean, that's one of the matches that I feel like I've seen where it felt like Anna Lee maybe wasn't playing her absolute best, but also that could just be because Brooke was playing so well that she just couldn't play her best game, not because she was maybe sick or off or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see that. You're like, someone is pushing you.
Yeah. It's not like you're just walking through everybody.
Yeah. So that was a good final too. Thought that was really good.
Yeah, Brooke I remember when the last time a women's singles final went to 3, because Anna Lee just almost always wins it in 2.
Yeah. So crazy. Brooke has been killing.
Also, I didn't keep track of how many. I'd have to go back and look, but holy crap, there was an unreal amount of pickles this tournament.
Oh, I didn't see.
So many.
Yeah, I must have missed all that.
Yeah, tons of people getting pickled this tournament. So
just like me, I feel less bad now.
Yeah.
And that happens to the pros too.
Dude, I know, it's crazy. I was shocked. So,
anyways,
moving on. That's the PPA updates.
Yep, we're on to our primary topic, which was basically James Ignatowich said on a podcast, like, how everyone interpreted it was, you should use a power paddle because it'll make you a better player long term, is how people summarize it. So
we're going to dive into the nuances of that.
Yeah. So I went back and listened to it, and I think James makes some really good points, and then maybe some points that I don't know that I'd say I disagree with, but I think there's more things to think about.
I just don't think he articulated it well enough, but he has some valid points.
Yeah. So basically, this should be an exact quote. I wrote it down this morning, but basically his line was, amateurs should use a paddle, a power paddle that they can somewhat comfortably control. Key word here, somewhat comfortably control. That does not mean just bust out a mod TA15, bust out a gearbox, and you're suddenly going to be a great player.
Yeah, he's not telling you to go out and buy a gearbox and start ripping the ball. That's not what James is trying to tell you.
His main point, which I actually agree with, was a power paddle forces you to learn good habits quicker, right? So a power paddle for volleys, you can be more compact, which you need to be in pickleball, because if you overswing and they counter the ball, you're getting hit.
You just don't have time to recover.
Which is a problem I'm dealing with now. Like, I do overswing a decent amount, and sometimes the ball's back before I'm I'm ready or I'm just not ready.
Yep.
So there's that. Things like softer shots, people might use too much wrist or too much arm. And then, with a power paddle, that's going to be even worse. Like you can't get away with, you have to compact it to get away with those. And that's another thing too, like that I feel like I picked up this week was like my forehand dink. I just made it more compact.
It also makes you can't swing as fast. The faster you swing, the harder you hit the ball. If you're using a power paddle, you're just going to launch it. So it smooths out your form.
Yeah.
It makes it, which is just better, for dinking drops. Like we talked about that a little while ago. You were realizing like for your third shot drops, you want to swing slower, smoother, just easier.
Looser.
So there are I think there are valid points to using a power paddle, but if you are coming from a control paddle, here's where I have issues with this. What was not explained. If you're coming from, let's say you use the Lux, you're coming from control paddle, you're a 3-5. You swing big because you're like, paddle's only control. I gotta swing big to hit it hard. Okay. What he's saying is you can't just go grab a mod or a gearbox and swing exactly the same. You're just going to have horrible habits. You'll never keep the ball in. Playing with a gearbox is going to feel terrible because if your habit is swinging big, it's going to feel horrible.
Well, it also just takes time to break.
It also, yeah, exactly. So you're just going to continue to make worse habits by playing like that. You need someone to kind of help coach you if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You can't just pick up a power paddle and play like how you normally do. You will play worse.
Yeah.
I can promise you that. So, but if you're able to create good habits and change how you swing the paddle into proper technique, then yes, a power paddle will help you improve.
Also, I think that a power paddle could also have the inverse problem. If you're someone who doesn't really have any racket sport background or like knowledge of certain things, and you come in and you just start playing with a gearbox or a mod, you're like, well, wow, why would I ever reset a ball, drop a ball? I can just blow the ball through people. I was like, why would I ever learn anything else?
Which will work at lower levels.
Yeah.
And then it starts to not work.
Even as, honestly, if you're good enough at it, usually this is a tennis player, so it doesn't hold up valid if you're talking about someone who has no sports background. But, even some of these tennis players come in and blow through a 4-5 just banging the ball. I mean, you and Brandon basically beat us by blasting the ball at me.
Yep.
So I just think that you could also learn bad habits in that you delay learning some of that reset, drop, dink, because you're just like, well, I have so much topspin. Like if you took a Ripple, for example, you're like, I can hit semi-Western forehand drives and it's an absolute laser beam. I can like hit it above someone's head and it still lands
But
in.
the second you play against someone, a 4-5 that's able to block the ball, drop it, and make you come to the kitchen, all of a sudden you're going to lose really bad because you're just not able to play how you want to play.
And also, I think, with he said this, like somewhat comfortably controlled. Well, that's kind of vague. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, somewhat comfortably controlled. Should 3 out of my 10 dinks be a pop-up? Should 5 out of 10 of them, 7 out of 10? Like, how consistent do I need to be to call it somewhat comfortable? And some people just have like different preferences of paddles. Like, you can still be a great player with a softer paddle.
Oh yeah, there's
We say this all the time, but Augie plays with a Prism Flash. Now, I don't know if he probably wouldn't mind having a poppier paddle at this point in the pro game, but like, if he can play pros and make championship Sundays with a paddle that soft, I think your 3-5 games, that's probably not the reason you're losing.
And James actually thinks that he was saying that he feels the inverse, where typically it's said that higher level players should use power paddles, lower level players use control paddles. He actually thinks it's the other way around, where lower level players should use power paddles, get comfortable with them. It helps improve their form because you have to be more compact, which is true. And then players like, his example was Jack Sock, who is using a more control-oriented paddle. He has plenty of power. He doesn't need to generate his own power. So he doesn't need a pad. He's able to give himself more margin with that paddle because he generates his own power. So I do see some points with that, but there's also some things I disagree with.
Yeah. And I think to me, one of the things that I really thought when I was looking at this is like, well, what is your goal in pickleball?
Yes.
Because I think that influences which piece of advice you're going to take. So if you are someone who just likes to play pickleball with friends, you go out a couple times a week, It's casual. You're not like drilling. You're just kind of there for a good time. Like, yeah, you want to get better, but like you're not really actively focusing on it. You're just kind of like, I'll get better by playing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that type of person, just use whatever you're comfortable with. If that's a power paddle, awesome.
And what's funny about this, I was really hoping you would say that, because we're going to give him another shout out here on the pod, because he's become a legend.
Who?
Mr. Babolat.
Oh, Mr. Babolat. I thought you were going to say Brandon.
No, not Brandon. Babolat Paddle Man. All right. All of you, a lot of you guys know him as Mr. Babolat Paddle. Okay.
We talked about him on the 100th paddle episode or 100th podcast episode.
Yep.
He's a higher level player here. He
like
only uses a
6'0".
Babolat. He won't give it up.
He refuses to use anything else. He is the prime example of someone who, he is a very high level player. He could play very high level pro.
Wow, maybe I don't know if I'd say very high level.
Maybe
pro,
not
but
very high level.
He could play some pro events.
He could. I guarantee, with a partner equal to him, or like played with Onik, he could make a main draw.
Sure,
no problem. And when he plays senior pro, he'll do phenomenal. But anyways, long story short, he's the prime example because he just likes to play pickleball for fun.
Yeah,
and he does not want to use anything else but his Babolat paddle. I guarantee you, he'd be a much better player if he took the time to get used to like the ALWC and play a ripple, something like that hits way harder, that he can fine tune and hit better shots. I guarantee he'd play better.
Yeah.
But he just doesn't want to he just wants to have fun. And he's okay with being at the level he's at and not getting any better.
Yeah, because he doesn't play tournaments.
He doesn't play tournaments. So he's totally fine. So he just uses a Babolat. So if you're that way, doesn't matter what, if you're a 3-0, if you're a 5-0, it does not matter what level you are. If you just play for fun, use what brings you the most joy.
Well, uses the most joy, and also I think if you are in a lower level, using a softer paddle potentially just makes your life easier, right? Like,
yeah,
you are going to have to block some balls, you are going to have to reset some balls, you might even do some dinking. The control paddle will make that easier, but again, it's just going to come down to like, what do you feel most comfortable with? Like, I can't tell someone, hey, you should just use a power paddle, or you should just use a control paddle. Like, everyone's different, and there's so many paddle options.
Yeah,
but I feel like at a lower level, if you're not trying to improve all the time, a all court or control paddle might be a little bit better for you overall and make your life just a little bit easier. But now if you are someone who's actively trying to get a lot better, like if I took a player just starting in pickleball and I have a blank canvas to work with and I'm trying to make them as good as possible, as fast as possible, I might start them with a more powerful paddle. Probably not a mod, probably not a gearbox, like maybe a Spartus Olympus or something like tiny bit below that.
Yep.
Maybe get them used to all these good habits, like teach them the right way to play. And now their strokes are built nice from the ground up.
Yeah.
But like that's someone who I'm assuming is, they want to train a lot. They drill. They're going to play tournaments. Like their sole focus is, I'm going to get good at pickleball
as fast as possible.
As fast as possible. If that's not your goal. Like, meh.
Yeah.
Like,
you just play casually,
does it really matter,
Right. Exactly. Then at that point, it's pickleball is, I know for a lot of people, pickleball is just a source of fun and joy.
Yeah.
And so why make yourself more frustrated by trying to adapt and learn to use different paddles and stuff? If all you want to do is just have fun, then use what brings you the most fun and go play pickleball.
Yeah.
That's all it boils down to, But if you're like us, where you just want to get as good as possible, then yeah, I can definitely see some valid points to using a power paddle. It is true that it does force you to shorten your strokes, tighten everything up. You'll have faster hands because of it, but you have to, just because your swing is short does not always mean it will improve your hand speed. You still have to recognize patterns, recognize, hey, I hit the ball here, ball's coming back at my left hip or coming back in a certain area. So learning how to do that. If you just are still swinging wildly with power paddle, you're not going to adjust just because you're hitting it harder.
Yeah.
So you still need to know how to use it. Just by picking one up and using it will not improve your game.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my 2 cents so far on that topic.
Yeah. So I just thought it was one of those things where thought it was worth clarifying some of the nuance so people understood, because all of a sudden I was like, okay, I'm just imagining everyone's like, oh man, we can only use power paddles now. Like you can't be good at pickleball if you use
control paddles are dead.
Yeah,
no one should ever use a control paddle. Totally not the case.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case. But again, like I said, I don't think James is wrong. I just think there was some clarifications that could give people better insight.
Yeah.
I think what he said, like there were a lot of really good points in it.
Mhm.
So yeah, just keep that in mind when you're using more, if you're wanting to use a more powerful paddle.
It also depends a lot on, I don't think James touched on this too much. It depends on the style of player you are.
Also that too.
Do you like to dink a lot and grind people down and be consistent? Like, because I know a lot of people who are just like Colin Johns, for example.
Yep.
Just dink, grind them down, make points last as long as possible. Or are you someone kind of like me and my partner who want to rip balls and finish it in 3-4 shots?
Yeah.
You know? Then it's a different story. So it depends on how you like to play the game, changes what paddle you should use as well.
Yep. Definitely. Completely agree. So yeah, that is our thoughts on that.
Yeah,
so.
Hopefully that maybe answered some of your guys' questions and gave you some good insight on that. If you were wondering, do I have the right paddle? Should I play with something different? Hopefully this helped you guys.
Also, actually, last thing I'm going to say on this.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think people just need to not overthink it because it's so easy to overthink paddles. It's so easy to overthink. There's so many options. So many times people are saying,
do I need a 14 elongated square Kevlar fiberglass? Like, it's too many options.
Find what you like. That's like kind of the bottom line, I feel like. I mean, would we love for Mr. Babelot to not use a Babelot? Yeah, I would love for him to not. We've tried. We've given him every paddle under the sun.
Yeah, as much as we make fun of him for it, he clearly just plays his best pickleball. He's most comfortable with that paddle.
Yeah. So do it.
So just do it.
I've even told him at this point, I'm like, dude, don't even try and switch off that.
Because
he keep the Babelot.
He like wants to. He wants to try and switch, but there's just no point. Like he's just so good with that paddle. Honestly, Babelot, if you're listening to this, you should like sponsor this guy and give him free.
Even though he'll give you like no publicity. He's not on social media, doesn't play
tournaments.
Yeah.
But just forget it. Don't even think about that.
This is like your mascot.
This
guy.
He is the Babelot mascot.
It's just so funny. He's even gotten recognized at a couple facilities now after that podcast. Yeah, people were like, wait, they see the Babelot and they're like, is it you?
Are you the Babelot guy? Or they see him play and go, it has to be you.
Yeah.
Because, dude, he's so good. It's crazy.
That's really funny.
Well, I'm sure at some point we'll post some of those games that we're practicing training.
Which
and you guys will get to watch how good this Babelot guy is.
Yeah. So we'll, actually, that's the next thing we'll talk about. So we're in the kitchen now.
Yep. To the kitchen.
First thing I wanted to talk about is I'm working on a new series for the channel. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, but I just didn't really know how to prioritize it or if there was how I was going to fit things in because like paddle reviews they're never ending. You can't keep up. So I was like, do I even have time? But I think I found a way. So basically I'm going to still workshop on the name. I'm not going to give those away yet, but essentially it is going to be a series about getting to 5-0.
Yep.
And so it'll be like whether it's rec game matches, tournament matches, or like at the end of this month, we're going to Kyle and Braden. We're going to film some content with them. And that's part of this series is like, we're going to play a match against them and just see who wins. So it'll be entertainment based. But
don't even say see. We know who's winning. Okay.
Yeah. You guys let us know who you think is going to win in the comments. Because Braden's audience.
They pulled their audience. And we see where they stand.
They think Braden's going to beat us. But
so you guys tell us, comment down below. You let us know who you think's winning out of that. Kyle and Braden or Chris and I.
Yeah.
All right. You let us know.
Yeah. You know who to vote for, guys.
Yeah,
Come
exactly.
on, do your job.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I think it'll be different. So I actually think when we play Kyle and Braden, I might make it a 3 out of 5 because I was like, okay, well, if people will watch, like if you can make it entertaining enough, I was like a 3 out of 5 when we do travel for these games would probably be more fun than like a 2 out of 3. Like
especially if we win it in 2 and it's like 11-3, 11-4.
Yeah,
or be 12 minutes.
Exactly. That's not that entertaining if people start slow or whatever. So some of those might be 3 out of 5s. But anyways, this series will just be about me. Like I'll probably set the goal of like, okay, in 2025 to consider myself a 5-0, Duper has to be over 5-0, and I need to have won like 3 PPA tournaments at 5-0.
What's your Duper right now?
4-7-0 maybe.
All right, we got some work to do.
It's only it's not even that.
We got a long road ahead of us. We'll get there, but we got a long road ahead of us right now, okay?
This guy. So anyways, yeah, there'll be some games, and then in that I will probably talk about like here's what I could have done better, and then also talk about like here's what I've been doing to work on that thing for the next video.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it would be a fun series to do. Also, it gives me an excuse to like actively focus on improving because I haven't done that in a while.
We've also been getting asked recently. We read your comments. I've been seeing you guys ask. There's been a few people that have been wanting to see like what do we do for drilling? Like, what are our drills look like? What are we doing? How are we doing them? Like, what does our training look like? So I think even just posting like a drill session is good because we've been getting asked, like, what do we do?
Yep.
So we'll be making more content like that. We're gonna get this guy. We're gonna get this guy up to a 5. All right.
We'll get there. We'll get there. So yeah, I think that'll be a fun series for the channel. You guys will probably within the next. Probably less than a month here. You'll start seeing some videos. We've already filmed a few.
We're gonna get your duper over Will's. Okay, we're gonna get yours higher than Will's. I think he's below 5-0 now.
Yeah. He just doesn't play that many tournaments. Let me go pull up his duper here. Did they log me out? Nope. It's a miracle. They always
logged you out. What's up, dude? If you're listening, duper, what's up with that? Why if I don't open it for a week, I get logged out?
It's like every time they update it, you get logged out. No, he's actually pretty much right there. He's a 498.
Okay. Yeah, so he's just above you.
Yeah. But I mean, Will's definitely better.
Oh, wait, 498, not 489. Okay,
498.
498. So he's like literally right at 5-0. Yeah. So once you get above 5-0,
honestly, I think his duper should be higher than that. He's a better player than 498.
We're getting you above that for sure.
So anyways, yeah, that's a series we're working on. Probably start coming out soon. So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, let us know if you have any ideas for that. What specifically inside of that you would like to see? If it's training, if it's just gameplay. I think a
lot of it is probably going to be gameplay. And then I will mix in things like throughout the video, like whether it's during and I talk about something I could have done better, or segments like, okay, well, here's what I did to kind of work on this. I don't know, you guys the same soon. You can give us feedback once you see it, but
yeah,
be a lot of fun gameplay, I think.
Totally.
All right, last thing I want to talk about, especially because of this tournament. I was so sore after this tournament. Like last night, my quads were just on fire. Like my back was super sore.
Yeah.
And I just thought this was an interesting thing. So like when we started playing pickleball, we would play like 2 times a day, 5 days a week, sometimes probably even 7 days a week. And I never felt that bad. I mean, because I play it all the time. Mm-hmm. So clearly must not have felt that bad if I just kept playing. But now I'm at the point where one, I definitely have to warm my body up before I play. I have to do a bunch of like stretches. Yep. Otherwise I will just hurt myself. That happened this week. We went to go do some spin tests and whatnot. And I we hit, but I didn't do some of the stretches I do for like my shoulder and whatnot. And just like throwing my shoulder out is too extreme of a word, but my shoulder did not feel good after we finished. And it hurt for a couple days. It actually still kind of hurts.
Also, real quick, I'm going to cut you off, but I just really thought this was funny. Somebody pointed out a couple podcasts ago, I'd have to go back and see how much I say this, but it's clicking in my head now. You really love to say whatnot. Somebody said something along the lines of like, take a shot every time Chris says whatnot, or we get it, you say whatnot a lot. Like, dude, I
had no idea.
Somebody put a counter out there of how many times, because it literally like a couple sentences, you said it like 3 times.
Oh, I did not know. So maybe now I'll be more aware of it.
I just thought that was really funny.
That is funny.
But yeah, yes. Very sore. Gotta stretch, man. Stretching is so important.
Well, yeah. But what's interesting is I'm like, okay, I didn't used to have to do that. So obviously there's an element of getting older.
Yep.
We're a couple years away from 30 now. And it's not even that old.
It's not.
I got to rant for a second here.
Yep.
I hate when people my age they're like about to hit 30 and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so old. It's all downhill. And I'm like, a 40-year-old is going to look at you and go, you're a baby. Yeah. Like, stop whining. So my thought is always, why are you complaining? Because if you're just going to complain about your 30s the whole time, you're going to look back and be like, man, I was so young. Why did I complain? So just stop complaining and like, just enjoy the stage of life you're in. Exactly. At some point you will be old, but in your 30s, you are not old.
You're fine.
You're still a spring chicken. So stop. I hate when people say that.
I agree.
But anyways, I do think getting older, I have to be more aware of it. But I'm like, I wonder if the games have just gotten way more intense.
That's what I think it is. So, I mean, think about it. Back when I remember one day I played like 8 or 9 hours straight. Yeah. I mean, it was the whole day. And it's because when we were that level, 3-0, 3-5, even 4-0, we're just not moving as fast and as hard and playing as intense as we are now. Yeah. Where points last longer. They're not only 3 or 4 shots, you're missing thirds, missing drives. No, points are lasting 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 plus shots, and we're taxing our bodies way more. So one game at our level now could be the equivalent of like 3 games at when we were 4-0s, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just way more physically taxing at the level we play now.
Yeah, it's just so interesting because I mean, I'm sure that's exactly what it is, but it's so weird to me to be so sore after some of these because before I was like, dude, I could play every day and not have a care in the world.
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
I've definitely been taking recovery way more serious. Even this morning, woke up at 4:30 this morning, made myself a nice healthy breakfast, which I don't usually do.
Yeah, for those of you out there, this guy's probably got the worst diet in the world. He was literally bragging yesterday about how at our brother's wedding he had like 15 cans of pop.
Dude, I swear
This guy's talking about being healthy while bragging about drinking pop.
Half my bloodstream is probably made of Mountain Dew. I'm gonna be honest, that's my unhealthy habit. I love Mountain Dew. Sue me. It's great. I love it. Anyways, this morning woke up early, made a nice healthy breakfast. My friend, your partner for the tournament, David, we went to a local facility that has a sauna/cold plunge, and we do a nice cold plunge sauna routine. And we've been doing that for a little while, and man, it felt great. Because after the tournament, I've got plantar fasciitis. My feet were really hurting. My neck was really tight and sore. So definitely focusing on recovery and stretching has been so important recently.
Yeah.
It's been huge. Being able to like actually get up, move the next day, because being on court is so important for us. So definitely take care of your bodies while you can.
Well, I think that's like what made me think about this was work. Because it's like, okay, back in the day, I could hit every day of the week for paddles and I was fine. Now I'm like, man, I exceed 5 days of the week and I'm like, oh my gosh, my body is in shambles. So it's just the difference of that I just thought was very fascinating. I was like, okay, how can I got to be able to ramp my court time up. Like I would like to have a little bit more on court time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I just got to start going to the gym again more and doing all these things and just being healthier, getting more sleep.
Unfortunately, water. I used to spend a lot of time in the gym. Weightlifting and powerlifting was a huge hobby of mine, even though, yes, I know I might not look like a powerlifter, tall and scrawny, but it was a big hobby of mine. Unfortunately, I've gotten some recent news that I potentially, most likely, have a form of arthritis in my knees and my lower back. So I've had to cut off on the weight training as much. So I'm definitely trying to find better ways to get in the gym.
Yeah. So now his weight training is lifting Mountain Dew cans to his mouth.
Dude, I know. Yeah, it's a hard life. It's tough, but can't be deadlifting 450 pounds anymore because that's not so great for the knees or the back.
Yeah, that wouldn't be great. That wouldn't be great.
So definitely trying to find new ways to exercise and stay healthy because I need it.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have experienced this. Let us know. I wonder if for people who've been playing a long time, did you feel like it was easier to play a ton when you started, or is it about the same? Do you feel like as your level increased, it got significantly harder? If you've been the same level for a long time, you're like, yeah, no, just nothing really changed. I don't know. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a combination of everything, but just thought it was interesting as I was doing. I was like, gosh, why can't I play that much?
Gosh, I know it's waking up the next day is getting way harder,
dude.
And I should not be saying that at my age.
No, shouldn't be saying it at my age either. Shouldn't be saying it. I literally was thinking last night. I was like, dude, you should be in like the best physical shape of your life at this age. It's like stop complaining and like just
get on it.
Yeah, get on it.
Get
basically.
on it. Yeah.
Anyways, that's all I got. You got anything else?
Not much other than hold on, real quick. It's gonna get really intense. I'm gonna look right in the camera. All right.
I'm gonna tell you right now, Braden Kyle, you better watch yourself, all right? Because we're coming. I'm taking this way more serious than any tournament I've ever played. Okay, we're coming for you. This is cutthroat. We are not friends when we play. All right, rant over.
Thank you.
Here's what's really funny about this. So I saw that Braden had pulled his audience. I saw it probably a couple days later or something.
Yeah.
And I've maybe said this on the podcast before. So they didn't directly trash talk. It wasn't like, oh man, we're gonna beat them. It was just the people voting. But I texted Braden in the group chat with all of us, and I said, I hope you know I'm gonna try way harder now. I was like, I was gonna try and I was gonna have fun before.
You poked the bear.
But yeah, basically you poked the bear, and now I'm mad.
I
know.
So
now before, like if I lost a game or something, meh. Now I'm like, you're not winning a game.
We're not letting you win. All right. I was talking to you about this before. I've always been taking this super serious in my head. Like I'm going all out, and you're like, man, it's just not fun if we really beat them down and whatnot.
Not that it isn't fun if we can beat them down, but I was like, you can't treat it like a tournament where you're
entertaining.
Like, yeah, it's got to be. It's still got to be funny.
But now it's game on, you two. All right, you better watch yourself. All right.
I hope they talk about this on their podcast.
I really do too, because look. I'm taking this serious.
I can't wait.
Kyle's been posting his training videos and his lifting and all that. All right. Look, we're doing the same thing in the shadows. All right. We're coming for you.
That's too funny. Yeah, I mean,
yeah. Stay tuned for that. That'll be a lot of fun, guys.
brought this on yourself, Braden.
Yeah,
remember
dude.
that. All right.
Well, with that,
Yeah, that should be
I
it.
think that's it for this week.
Cool. We will catch you guys next week.
Sweet.
Later.
See ya.